interview that everybody has been waiting for tonight. Everybody who's been waiting on Periscope, Twitter, and everything else. We have Jason DeRusha here. Right?
How you doing? All right, I'm ready.
There's a lot of people that are joining in tonight for this one. The numbers are just flying. So, first of all, thank you for being a huge supporter of No Kid Hungry and coming down here.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's such a great organization. So much money going directly to make a difference in the lives of people throughout Minnesota and around the country.
So why is it important to you, besides just that? Is there a story that resonates with you that makes this so important to you?
You know, I think a lot about issues of food equality and the fact that I'm in a situation in my life where I can make a choice, right? When I go to the grocery store, I can choose, like, I'm going to buy organic strawberries, or I'm going to buy, you know, fresh produce instead of going and buying a box of whatever, processed food. And I just feel very strongly like these same opportunities need to be available to everybody. And the same kind of subsidies that we put as a country towards, you know, we put subsidies into things that end up as a processed food. Nothing against processed food. Like, this food allows people to eat throughout the world.
Yeah.
People need to eat. But, you know, we need to do whatever we can. Those of us who are lucky enough that our careers have gone well, that we have money or whatever, where you say, you know, I can try to help and make a difference. And there are groups like No Kid Hungry that are able to use that money in a way far more efficiently than I could personally.
$1 for 10 meals? I mean,
it's crazy. You could never do that. You
right?
couldn't. You just couldn't.
I don't know. $10 for me is what, like a gallon of bread, or a gallon of milk, and a loaf of bread? That's not a meal.
Yeah,
so.
I did the grocery shopping the other day, and you think like $10 goes pretty quickly. But these groups are able to leverage the partnerships. And, you know, my main interest, especially now like that I'm a dad and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my kids are so lucky. They're so lucky. We went to lunch today and had sushi, right? And so
they're lucky.
They're lucky, and I'm lucky that I'm able to provide that opportunity. But I'm also mindful of the fact that I can make a difference with other people as well who don't have that opportunity. And you try to take a moment and think about what life is really like for most people. And they're not taking their kids to sushi for lunch. They're not buying organic strawberries. They're deciding, are we going to eat tonight, or are we going to, you know, be able to buy our kid a book that they need for school?
Or are we going to buy $50 worth of groceries or pay our electric bill?
Absolutely. I mean, those are real things. We think of hunger in terms of like someone who's homeless and sitting underneath a bridge.
Right.
And that's not it. It's like families who just aren't able. It's families who every food decision they make is in the context of, what other bill do I have to pay right now?
You know,
we can make a difference.
It used to be that stigma, hunger, oh, they're poor. It must be somebody that's on government. You know, it's not always the government funding, though.
And you know, the biggest growth in food shelves around Minnesota are in suburban locations where you think, like, there would never be anybody.
Apple Valley, Burnsville, like the suburbs where it's like, oh, it doesn't happen there.
No, it's teachers who are saying, you know, we need to start a food shelf in our school because there are kids who are not paying attention in school, who are not able to focus because they're not eating. They don't have dinner. They have the school lunch, they have the school breakfast,
2 meals
but they
a day
go home and nothing.
And how do you tell a third grader that they can't hoard fruit in their desk until May?
I look at my children and think, like, it's just unconscionable that in this country, which has so much wealth, that we would allow people to be in a situation where they would have to make those choices. And I understand, like, people need to work hard, people need to get jobs, people need to do that. I get it. But, like, you know what? I think a society is judged on how we help our weakest. And when there are folks in need and there are those people who are able to help those people, to be able to let them just have something as simple as a meal, and then we can have that discussion about, like, all right, what are we going to do to prepare people for jobs, to get people ready to graduate high school? Like, we could have that discussion then, but first, like, we need to make sure people can eat. It's just that simple.
Well, right, because if they're so hungry, they're not going to care what you're trying to preach to them or tell them or teach them because they're too hungry to even care or listen.
No, it's very easy to say, like, poor people should just get a job.
Oh, I hate that.
Just get a job.
I hate hearing that.
Yes.
They should just work. Like, it's that easy to just tell them to get a, you know.
Right. And a lot of our neighbors are people who are going to the food shelf, and you don't know it. You would never know it because it's hidden, it's protected. But you know what? Like, we need to make sure that those folks are able to have the best life they can. I mean, I just really strongly believe in that. and I feel very fortunate to be in a situation where I can try in my own small way to make a difference.
Well, you are awesome. We have a lot of people joining in, and I think it was an interview well worth the wait that a lot of people are waiting to see. There's a lot of people live on Periscope watching it right now. But I think it's important for others to hear why we're doing this. It isn't just throwing money to another organization aimlessly, that doesn't care.
No, and people, I think, often you look at an event like this and you're like, oh, it's food snobs doing fancy food stuff. But the truth is, like, chefs have driven the agenda, right? This idea that people are eating locally started with chefs who had restaurants that said, you know what, I think it's important to eat locally. And now all of us think about that when we're making food decisions. So chefs at some of the better restaurants in our community are making a difference by saying, you know what, it's important to us to make sure that the people in our community are able to have good, healthy, solid meals so they can go on, and then we can talk about
then we can talk about the rest, jobs or whatever, the rest, because none of it, I don't want to say none of it matters, but none of it's really gonna,
you're not gonna get there unless you are fed. It's just one of the simple human needs.
I completely agree. So that was our brief but very good interview. I don't want to take up too much of Jason's time because he is. He's a celebrity down here, so me taking his time takes away from other people. But you know what? It was very good.
So great. Thank you for your questions and for your work. I really appreciate it
so much. So everybody say goodbye to Jason. Right?
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much. And we will talk with you later. So this is one of the last interviews tonight for the End Hunger Challenge for No Kid Hungry. That was another 1,000 meals raised thanks to Jason. Awesome. So we look forward to that.
Thanks,
guys.